Okay guys, today we're going to dive into Osprey's Renn and Rook backpack, so stay tuned. Okay, with this Osprey line of packs, the male bag is known as the Rook, and then the female bag is the Renn. Both of them come in a 50-liter and a 65-liter bag, and they all run right about 3.5 pounds. Obviously, the 50-liter ones are a little bit lower. The 65s are a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. They're all retailing right now. The 65s are right around $188 at the time of this video. The bag we're going to look at today is my wife's. It is the Rook 65. Let's jump in and take a look at the bag. These bags are rated to carry 30 to 40 pounds. Obviously, the more weight you put in it, the less comfortably it's going to carry. But I know my wife has carried it, and she was around the 25-pound mark. Carried it with zero issues whatsoever. And I borrowed and carried the bag one time when I was trying to weigh and see if I wanted a Gregory or an Osprey bag. And I carried it with about 22, 23 pounds in it, and it was, other than being slightly short for my torso length, it carried like a dream. Okay, these Osprey bags come in a variety of different colors. I think the one she's got is a cinder gray. I'm almost positive they also have a black. I know they've got a burgundy color, and they have another one that's sort of an aqua-ish blue. It's a really good looking bag too. It is a big bucket style bag, and one thing you're going to notice on here, if you look at the links versus this actual bag, you're going to notice that this webbing is not. You're going to notice that this webbing is not on the website, and that's because I added it after the market. I just put a little piece of shot cord on there and then a little keeper on there just to draw it down, because a lot of times she'll start hiking with a jacket or something on, and then once she warms up, she'll just kind of tuck it in here without having to rifle through a bag. But it does come with the hooks up at the top for the tie-offs. It just doesn't come with the actual elastic tie-off. You do have the brain up at the top with one big compartment. Single zipper across, so it's not an abundance of different pockets. It's just one big pocket, which I definitely prefer. So one thing that I thought was interesting with this bag, and this is part of the fact that it's entry level, the brain up here is not detachable. It's actually sewn in, so there's no way to really shave weight here. When the bag comes, it does come with a big bladder inside there for your water. I did take that out. I'm not a fan of the bladders, but there's a spot. There's a spot underneath here for you to run the tubing out. We took those out. We don't. Neither one of us use those. Once you flip it up, there's not a secondary pocket underneath the brain. It's just that one individual pocket in there, so a little less storage there. There's sort of strap and ratchet pull opening, and then inside you here, you just have the big, huge bucket opening. Nothing too fancy inside there. You do have a sub pocket in the back that sits outside that frame structure where you would hang your water bottle, where you would hang your water bladder, and then tuck it back down in there. Ample room. I like the fact that there's not. I like the fact that there's not an abundance of pockets in here, because it makes it easier to not lose things. You have less organization, but you're also less likely to lose it. And if you look closely, you'll see there's a false shelf down in here. This is for you to put your sleeping bag and stuff underneath here, which is accessible from the front. You have large, ample side pocket storage with this little mesh. The mesh is actually held up really well. I'm always kind of skeptical about how well that stuff holds up, and so far it's actually been really good. And that's available on both sides of the bag. But now what it does not have, my Gregory's have got a big stretchy pocket out here. This Osprey bag does not have that. You do have the quick detaches here for like your sleeping pad or a chair or a sit pad that just hangs on the outside of your bag. That's quite handy. Then you also have the bottom zip out to access into that bottom underneath that false shelf to get down to the sleeping bag storage compartment. You also notice down at the bottom, and actually she had this bag for a while before I figured out this was even there, because the tag was pushed up underneath here. So for the longest time I didn't notice that it was there, and I was moving her bag one day and that had flicked down and I was like, oh, what is that? It's actually an integrated rain cover that sits inside there, which is a nice little easy place to store it. Keeps it down here at the bottom, sort of tucked out of the way. It's a good size rain cover. Have amply sized side pockets here on both straps, both left and right. These are like the brain, these are sewn in, so they're not adjustable. You know, some of the packs come with adjustable side pouches, hip pouches. These are not that way. It's more evidence of where they've kind of shaved off some of the bells and whistles and frills to give you something that's a little more entry level. One thing that I do love about this bag, and it was actually enough that it made me change the Gregory bag I had, because I had one that was much more closely fitting to my back, which for me caused me to sweat a lot. But I wore this thing one day sort of in a pinch just to see if I liked it, because I was debating getting the Rook. She already had this one, but this airflow on the back of it significantly increased how cool I was on the trail. So I didn't buy the Rook, but I did buy a different bag based on that. This airflow is super nice, and you guys will notice the harnessing structure over here. This is the adjustment for it, so you can slide this entire carriage up and down on the frame. And you do that just by grabbing this. You pull this little strap out right here, and then you can slide the webbing up and down, and it just plugs right back in there. So it's a super easy adjustment. It's one of the easier bags to adjust that I have, at least. Actually, I really like the way they structured this. All the sewing and stitching and all of that fun stuff on here, we've had zero issues with it fraying or looking like it wanted to come loose. There are no holes in the bag. It's been beaten up a good little bit, and so far it's actually held up remarkably well. The buckles and clasps, they're all pretty sturdy. We've had zero zipper issues out of it. They all run pretty smoothly on the track. The straps and webbing and stuff, and this is a little bit of the reason why it's a little bit of a heavier bag. You know, this stuff is pretty thick, whereas like my Gregory bag, it's probably half that. So all the stuff is amply sized. It makes it pretty comfortable to carry. Okay, guys, hope you found that beneficial. This bag's been good for her. It definitely hit the stride for what she was looking for in a bag. A little heavier than what I would prefer personally, but you know, to each his own. Still gets you into that Osprey product line with that Osprey warranty that really is really attractive. While this is a little bit pricier than a lot of other bags out there, this is entry level for their company. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're in the market. And if you're out on the trail right now watching this, just remember, as always, left foot, right foot, repeat. We'll see you out there soon.